Hi, Facebook family. It is Monday, Manifesting Monday. And so today's topic is Your Mess is Your Message. And some of you may have heard the topic before. T.D. Jakes did sermons on it. Robin Roberts has talked about it. So there's many famous people who have done this topic. And it came to me the last couple days, this slogan, and I was like, I think I want to spend some time talking about it on Monday. So here we are. I hope you guys have had a great weekend. Hope you're enjoying yourself on this Monday. It's beautiful here in Georgia. We finally are out of the rain, so I'm very happy. So I want to get started and talk about this topic a little bit tonight, giving you food for thought, giving you some tidbits, some guidance, something to really kind of connect you to yourself, in essence, because we know that to truly manifest, you must be connected to who you really are, not the facade that you show other people, but who you really are. Because when we're in alignment, that's when we manifest. That's when we make things happen. So I thank you guys for coming in and joining me. Hey, Paula, and sharing. So tonight we're going to talk about your message, your message. So what exactly does that mean, right? What is mess? We all know mess. We all know crappy stuff. Hey, Monique. We all know like really crappy stuff, things we've been through in our life or having our life kind of fall apart, right? If you've lived beyond 20, you probably have had some point in your life where your life has fell apart, where you feel like you couldn't put the pieces quite together. You had some things going on and then they just dropped. And when I say mess, I don't mean like, oh, you made a small, simple mistake. I mean that really when you look at the whole scope of that situation, you're like, oh my goodness. You feel like you're falling. You feel like you're hitting rock bottom. You feel like you can't find your way out. When you're in that deep mess, that's what I'm talking about. Some people call it the dark night of your soul. It's really that place that is just really where hope doesn't live, is what I call it. You know, we all may have gone through where you've had bad relationships and you realize, the person's not for me. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about something a lot deeper than that. I'm talking about a place where you get so dark, you're not sure how to make it out. You've gotten yourself in such a situation in your life that you don't necessarily see possibility at that point. It seems really dark. It seems really dismal. I'm talking about when you've been in those kind of situations, and hopefully you haven't been in too many. That's my prayer for you, is that you haven't been in too many of those situations. But that's what I mean when I talk about mess. So I'm not talking about just typical mess, like, oh, I messed up on my job or I got fired from a job that I don't really like. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about situations. I can share one of mine, and it led to the best time in my life. You know, my situation was where I was running a business, I had my own home, I was in a relationship. Things seemed to be like they were moving forward. Things seemed to be like, oh, okay, her life is progressing. She's on the right track. And I'm laughing now because, oh my gosh, it was so far from that. It wasn't even funny. What was happening for me was I was about to fall. I was about to crumble into millions of pieces, it felt like. I lost my business. I lost my home. I lost my relationship, filed bankruptcy, had to go back and work in a place that I couldn't stand. And I mean, really couldn't stand. But thank God I was wise enough never to burn a bridge at a position so I could go back. But I didn't want to go back. But like everybody else, I had to pay bills. I had obligations. I had to take care of myself because I was an adult. So I'm talking about dark nights like that, where your life starts to crumble, where things just start to slip away. My home slipped away. My business slipped away. My relationship slipped away. And it all slipped away in a matter of, I'd say about 6 months. I'd say about 6 months this all happened to me. And it was devastating. There were days where I felt depressed. And I say felt depressed because depression is a whole different category that I'm not talking about. That's a mental illness that people can't just step out of. But I was feeling depressed at that time. I was feeling a deep sadness. I was feeling a deep loss. I was feeling hopeless because I didn't know how I was going to get out of the mess I was in. I didn't know how I was going to put the pieces of my life back together. That's the kind of mess I'm talking about. For some people, they've gotten themselves or were in situations where they were in abusive relationships, right? That's a big mess because if somebody physically and verbally is abusing you, it's tearing you down in so many areas of your life and it's destroying other pieces of your life. That's the kind of mess I'm talking about. And so for those of us who have lived through that kind of mess, that dark night of the soul, and we say dark night of the soul, I really wish it was one night. That would be a blessing, but it normally isn't one night. It's normally longer than that. And so I want to say this to you because everyone may not be out of their dark night. Everyone may not be out of their mess. So if you happen to see this and you're in your mess, let me tell you there is a way out. Let me just share that with you. I don't care if you can't see the way out. If you have breath in your body, God says there's a way out. There's no question about that because you're still here for a reason. So even though you can't see it, just trust that there's a way out and you just can't see it yet. The other thing I want to say to you is don't blame yourself and beat yourself up more. Yeah, exactly, Monique. Totally. Yes. Don't beat yourself up more because all you do then is block seeing possibility. So if you're down in the dumps and trust me, let me say this. When I was losing my home and I was losing my business and I had to file bankruptcy, which is so public, because you can't hide that. You're getting kicked out your home, got foreclosed on, my business shut down. People are like, where are you going every day? What are you doing? There was a time that I absolutely blamed myself and I beat myself up. And I will tell you, when I was in that moment, I could see no possibilities. I could see no solutions because all I could do was beat myself up. So I stopped the blessings from coming in because I couldn't see how to get out of the situation. All I was doing was seeing the mess and staying in the mess and focusing in on the mess and look how I messed up here and look how I messed up there and look how I did this wrong and I did that wrong. I did all of that crap, none of which helped me to get out of the mess. So there's a difference between blaming yourself for being in your present situation and looking at it and learning from it. So we have to decipher those two different things. But while you're in your mess, don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself. Look for solutions. Look for people to help you out because your thinking may not be right. I wasn't a happy person. I wasn't in manifesting mode and all of that kind of place when I was losing everything. I was like, oh my God, my world is falling apart. And I kept saying, what am I doing wrong? What have I messed up? And there's definitely a solution to why I messed up and why my life had to crumble the way it did. Because I know now it had to do that. Exactly, Monique. Totally the wrong focus. Right. When we're in distress, we're totally on the wrong focus. We're focusing on the negative instead of, okay, what little step can I do to get out of this situation? Even if it's taking a break and going to the park. And I'm serious about that. That may seem like, wow, you're losing your house, you're losing your business, go to the park. Are you kidding? Because that doesn't make any money, right? But let me tell you, a change of scenery can change your mindset. I did a talk last week about nature and the profoundness of nature. It's one of the divine God's special gifts to us. Because if you really pay attention to nature, you really understand how this world works. You really understand that there's possibility and there's hope out there, even when you don't see it. So you have to really get yourself out of your own way and out of your own head to kind of shift to another dimension, to another thought process. And so nature is the simplest thing, because for me, I was broke, right? Had no real home, was waiting for them to kick me out every day, didn't have a business, but the park was free. And when I sat in that park and I watched those animals scurry around and they found food and they were building shelters, it put some things into perspective for me. You know, there's that old Bible verse for those of you who are Christian and all of that. It's like God takes care of all the animals and all of nature. What makes you think he won't take care of you? See, because sometimes we get so crazy up in our thinking, we think, well, I've done this horrible thing that God won't take care of me anymore. But here's the clue for you. If you still have breath in your body, God's still taking care of you. It's just that simple. So when you stop breathing, that means your time is done and there's no more work for you to do. But if you have breath in your body, there's a reason. There's a reason for that. So just that little bit should be enough to keep going, to keep moving, to say, okay, I may not have the answer now. I may not know how to get out of the situation. I may not know how to rebuild, but there is a way out. There's always a way out. And so you may need some other people. You may need some help. You may need a friend. You may need, I don't know, a minister, a coach. I don't even know who it is. But you may need somebody else to help you out of your mess. Because if you were as stuck as I am, I couldn't get out of my own mess. I needed friends. I needed other people to talk me out of my own crazy, I call it. You know, because I can get really good in my own crazy. So I needed some support and I needed some help to talk me out of that crazy when I was there then. Because I didn't understand why my life was falling apart. I didn't understand why I had to lose everything. I didn't understand how I thought I was this horrible person. I'm like, why is God thinking I'm such this horrible person for me to have to lose everything? But here's what I can tell you. I had to lose those things. Because what I didn't realize at that time was those things were stopping me from growing to the next level. Those things were stopping me from being who I was supposed to be. Because there's a long story, and I'm not getting into that tonight, but that was not my mission. That was not my purpose. That house, that business, that relationship, that was for that season. That wasn't for my lifetime. That wasn't for my purpose. That was for me to learn. That was for me to learn and get connected to who I was. And a lot of times we lose ourselves. Right, exactly. We lose ourselves. And so we get all these things and we're doing all this job and we're doing all this stuff, but we don't connect to our heart. We don't connect to our soul, to our purpose, to the divine that's in. We get lost. We totally get lost. And so we really do have to lose those things for us to sit. You know, I don't know about you, but I have an old grandmother. My grandmother's still alive. I'm really blessed. And back in the day, they would talk about the prayer closet, right? And they would go and they drop to their knees and they go to that prayer closet. My grandmother's about to be 98 this year, so that's how old I'm talking. They would talk about this prayer closet and go into this prayer closet where there's nothing there but you and God, the divine. And you have that communication with the divine because all that other stuff now is out of the way. So now you can hear. Now you start to listen because you're not distracted by that other junk. So when I had in that process of losing everything, of course I dropped to my knees. Of course I had to talk to the divine. Of course I had to. I had nothing else. And nothing else was working. So when I dropped to my knees, it was my true heart. Yes, Monique, yes. Exactly. When you're alone, you can absolutely hear God so clearly. And I could, because I will tell you what, December 19th, I remember the day. That's how clearly, that's how everything was gone. I heard the day. I know the day, I heard the message. And the message was, you're not connected to who you are. You needed everything to fall to pieces so that you could get correct, so that you could do the mission that you were sent here to do. And it was like, oh. And it, you know, the funny thing is I've been a therapist, counselor all my life. I've helped other people all my life, you know, but we're the worst, like doctors, we're the worst patients for sure. Totally the worst patients. And so when I got the message, I was like, oh yeah, like, psh, duh. And that's what I started doing. I started using all of those gifts, all of those certifications, all of those trainings that I had gone through year after year and used for clients, used for me, used for me. And what I learned when I was in a better thinking space is, how is this mess helping me to get to my message? How is this a learning tool for me to step into my power, my greatness, which totally comes from the divine? How do I step into that? Because that's your true power. When you step into those things with the divine and you're truly connected, there's nothing that can stop you. Nothing that can stop you. And so my challenge to you tonight is to really look at your life and look at your dark night of the soul, your mess that has come up over the years. And let that be your message to somebody else. And it doesn't matter what form you do it in. Doesn't matter if you even just do a Facebook Live for 5 minutes. Doesn't even matter. But we go through things not just for us. It's so we can shine the light, right? The light's inside of us. We're supposed to let it shine. We learn that as little kids. Our light is supposed to be there for other people, so we can light the way. So the mess that I made in my life, I can prevent somebody else from making that same mess. I say, oh girl, don't do that. Let me tell you how not to do that. Let me tell you how not to lose everything and have to start again at almost 40 years old. Let me share that secret with you. So I share that tonight is for you to look at your life, to let you know, one, that if you're going through a mess right now, there's a message on the other side for you to share with other people. Your life has purpose. Everybody's life has purpose. And it doesn't have to be as big as we think all these other people like Oprah and all those other gurus. It doesn't have to be that big. You get to define it your way. You get to do it your way. That's the beauty of it. Your unique self, your unique soul came here to do a certain thing that only you can do. That's the goodness of it. That's the beauty of it. And here's the thing, nobody can do it like you. And nobody's supposed to. It's just for you to do. So look at your life. And if you're wondering, what is my message? Yeah, I've been in a bunch of messes, but what's my message? I encourage you to seek out someone to talk to. You can seek out me by all means. Like I tell you guys all the time, you can message me, you can do that. Find someone around you that you trust. Doesn't really matter, but I would challenge you to decipher that. Because I bet that there's a calling and a longing on your heart that really, we don't really need to tell you what it is, but we just need to affirm that it's okay for you to step into it, because you know what it is. But sometimes, we need that support. We need that courage and someone holding that strength for us to say, you know what, you can do this. I believe in you. There's no question about it. We all need that sometimes in our life. So go seek that. But remember, turn your mess into a message. However you do it. I don't care if you put it on a t-shirt just for everybody to read. Doesn't really matter. But share it with someone else, because you're not the only one. Not the only one who's been through mess. Don't blame yourself. Because if you've lived long enough, more than 2 days in this world, let's say more than a year in this world, you've made a mess. That's just the bottom line. You've made mistakes, and we all have. So don't beat yourself up anymore. Truly, truly enjoy it. You guys, I love you. Thank you so much for you women, the Moniques who joined me tonight, and the other ones. Thank you. And I want to say this, if you want more support, more help, join my group on Facebook. I'll eventually put the link. I always do. We have fun in there. I do more sort of healing and energy stuff and more nitty gritty stuff that I don't do out in the public, on the public site. But guys, truly, your mess is your message. There's no question about it. Have a great, great week, and I will see you back here next Monday. Take care. Bye.